and we're just starting. So if you look at what Jenny Johnson, who's the CEO of Fidelity, has said, the allocation by institutions are just starting. They are doing their due diligence. The allocation will come in over time. So we are still at a very early stage of this cycle.
Yeah. So we've chatted a bit about broader mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies, but if you had to look ahead, what are your predictions for this? What key developments or changes do you believe are really necessary for the industry to achieve that mainstream adoption?
Well, so I mentioned just now, right? So there are a few factors at play. Firstly, regulatory clarity and harmonization is extremely important. Today, close to 1/3 of global regulators are starting to regulate this space, but they regulate them in very different fashion, right? So some deem as security, others deem them as commodity, some deem them as digital assets, some deem them as payment tokens, and all this inconsistency create headache in terms of global deployment, especially for a global platform like us, right? Because the rules and regulations are totally different and they can be inconsistent. So in terms of local deployment, we'll face challenges. We'll need to change our setup, our operations to cater to local development. So what we really hope for is similar to the banking and the securities industry, where you have consistency of rules that apply, to have harmonization of rules across the different countries that allow for easier deployment, and also to allow users to really understand the standardized set of protection that's accorded to them. Today, Binance go way beyond what many of the regulators promulgate, right? So if you think about it, we have things like SAFU Fund, right? That really goes way above what regulators promulgate. So we do the SAFU Fund really to protect our user interests, right? To look out for them. And we do many of these things, and we go way beyond. We have very stringent, as you know, Sam, we have very stringent trading policy imposed on our staff. That's way above what traditional financial institutions do. Again, this is part of protecting our users. So a lot of these practices we put in place to protect our users, including on the security front. We spend huge resources on security. I mean, if you look at hacks that's happening on other exchanges, you know that if you don't devote enough resources on that, you can be vulnerable. And we actually go way beyond that. So this year alone, in terms of our security feature, we help users avoided potential loss of up to $2.4 billion from potential scams, right? So those are the things that we do, and we do extremely well to really safeguard our user interests, right? And these are things that are beyond what the regulators prescribe. So I think that's first. Secondly, I mentioned institutional adoption. The institutional adoption will bring in a different category of users, will bring in new liquidity. Those people that trade ETF are slightly different, because you have to understand that ETF only trade certain number of hours a day, right? Monday to Fridays. They don't trade 24/7. You can't really manage your risk exposure, take new positions as freely as trading on our platform, Binance. And also the ETF only offer currently 2 products, Bitcoin, Ether. And we offer hundreds of products, and we are very responsive to market developments and needs on that front. So we offer a very different value proposition to them. But they do bring in new users, and most of those users are sort of longer term holders, right? That deploy part of the assets into that asset class, part in the ETF, and hold. So over time, that will provide greater stability to the asset class. But what we have to do is to continue to increase education and awareness of crypto globally across the different stakeholders. Not only our users, where we spend a lot of time in terms of those educational efforts, the public at large, where we spend a lot of time and resources going through programs such as Binance Academy. We tie up with tertiary institutions to come up with programs to raise awareness on crypto. Our partners as well, the banking, the payment partners, right? We also highlight to them the pros. We do educational program for policymakers, for regulators, for them to understand the power of this technology and how it will help countries develop their own economy as well. And also in terms of user interaction, we have to make them much more user-friendly, much more intuitive. We have to continue to roll out features that our users want. So these are the few areas that we have to continue to push ahead to bring about even more mainstream adoption of crypto.
Thank you. I think education is just so important. We never stop learning. So thanks, Richard. Now we're going to go to our Q&A session. We have listeners who have sent in some questions. So we're going to let them join and ask you those questions. First up is Doable. Hi, Doable. Over to you. Thank you. Hi, can you hear us? You can ask Richard your question.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear?
I don't think. We might need to move on. We'll come back. Okay, Ulifia, you're up next. You can unmute and please go ahead and ask your question for Richard. Ulifi, can you hear us? You can unmute and then ask your question. Oh, Parrot, here we go. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, please go for it.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Tank. Hello, Miss Samantha, and hello, everyone. I am Kemal. I work on the Binance UK team. I feel good, lucky, and very happy to have the opportunity to ask you a question here. The world's largest crypto and blockchain brand is Binance. As the CEO of Binance, your talks are important to everyone. Now, I would like to ask you my question. Major governments have now acknowledged the existence of crypto and blockchain. They are even making investments in the field of crypto and blockchain. Because of this, governments are taking steps to implement some regulations. What are you doing regarding regulatory efforts in countries around the world and in Turkey? How do you manage the regulatory process with governments, officials? We are very curious about your thoughts. Thanks.
Thanks, Parrot. Please call me Richard. So thanks for that question. I mentioned just now that we have secured our 19 global regulatory approval in India, which we're very excited about. And we'll continue with all these local deployments, working with local stakeholders. Indeed, the direction of travel within crypto is very clear, right? In 2017, where Sam just asked the question, what's the difference? In 2017, almost no regulator around the world are regulating this space, right? So when I was in Abu Dhabi as a regulator, I became one of the first around the world to roll out framework to regulate this space because I believe that you need clarity in order to bring in much more new investors into this and to really support the industry. So the direction of travel today is very different from 2017. Today, there's much more clarity. You have more and more regulators coming to this space. And our aspiration is really to continue to work very closely with policymakers and regulators around the world to come up with smart regulations, right? So what do I say are smart regulations? Smart regulations are regulations that on the one hand, that can balance how do you manage risks associated with any sector, with financial services, with crypto. And on the other hand, to really support the innovative aspect, this very advanced technology that is ever evolving, and to really support economic activities into this very, very exciting industry. Right? So those are the regulatory framework that we hope to work closely with governments around the world. And we have done so in many places around the world. We have given feedback by being the largest crypto platform and exchange globally. Our views are sought after by many of the governments as they develop their own framework. And we have developed frameworks very closely with them. We get licensed in those jurisdictions. And these are the things that we continue to do. We have, other than being a user-first organization, we continue to focus and invest quite a fair bit into our compliance function as well. In 2022, we invested about 158 million into our compliance program. That went up to 213 million last year in 2023. And this year, it'll go up even further, right? So it's really to cope with all these new regulatory changes, new regulatory framework that's coming to play, and really to help us with our local deployment.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Parrot. So
Thank you for the answer. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Absolutely. And next we have Waleed. So we can see if Waleed is here. Or I can see AB is up. Hi AB, thank you for joining us. AB, do you want to unmute and ask your question of Richard? Oh, we might have lost him. Okay, should we try circle back? Ulifi or Dubal, are you on? AB, I see you there. Hi. Do you want to unmute and see if we can get your question? Maybe let me see if I can actually get some of them in on a text. Hang on, guys. So let me see. I might be able to pull up some. Oh, Waleed, hi.
Hi, Samantha. How are you?
Good, and you? Thank you so much.
I'm good. Thank you guys for your time. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Walid?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to talk to you guys, and thank you for your time. I have a question. Crypto is for most of the people a tool to potentially make money, but blockchain and Bitcoin is way more than that. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't see that. What steps are Binance taking to help users see that? Any plans in the future to offer, for example, Binance Web3 online courses, workshops, etc.?
Certainly. So, one of our mantra is always do your own research, right? So this is something that we expound on. Crypto really is a technology. Blockchain is a transform the world. If you look at the entire financial infrastructure of most firms, the usage of blockchain will be the foundation together with AI in terms of transforming their own platform and infrastructure in the next decade or so, especially in middle and back office, but also in front office function, right? So we are seeing strong usage for blockchain technology across different industry, supply chain, real estate, etc. So we actually spend a lot of time and energy. I sort of briefly mentioned it just now, in terms of educating different stakeholders. So from the community to users, usage of things like Binance Academy. We also work with tertiary, work with university, work with schools on curriculum that build the Web3 sort of materials into those curriculum, blockchain materials, so that in many parts of the world, the young adults, the teenagers have a head start in terms of understanding blockchain, understanding Web3. And where there's interest, we will continue to push for some of the courses. You mentioned online courses. I think those are the things that we can consider and push forward on some of those fronts.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And this year I got the chance to be with the Binance team in Seychelles, and we did a lot of workshops. It was really, really, really helpful. So I think online courses are amazing, but also to be there and present and physical and talk to people and discuss stuff is also like an amazing thing to do. Thank you so much, Richard. And thank you guys again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Rod.
Thanks, Waleed. Okay, we're going to try one more time to see if AB is here. I can see you there. Hopefully we can hear from you. So I think we can... AB, can you hear us? Do you want to unmute and ask your question? Okay. All right, so I think what we can do is move on. We will, I'm sure, for the next session, look at ways we can make questions more seamless. But thank you to Waleed, who joined us, and Parrot for your questions. Appreciate those. So, Richard, this has been a really insightful discussion. I know myself, I've learned a lot. And I hope that those that have joined us today to listen in have as well. I just wanted to ask you,